capital markets, especially in Uganda, in the region, and in East Africa. And my name is Anthony Sebale. Now, for the past couple of years, Uganda has been noted as one of the countries with the worst saving culture, with only 12% of the population banking their money and only 3 to 5% saving on this money they bank. Uganda is still one of the lowest income earning and the lowest saving countries in the whole world and in East Africa. For example, compared to Kenya, which saves only to about 23%, Tanzania, which saves about 13%, Rwanda, which saves up to 18%, Uganda only saves up to 12%. And this has left us in the term of investments at a very, very, very low rate. And this show will be addressing some of the issues as to why Ugandans don't save. And it's evident from the COVID-19 pandemic that Ugandans, actually, we are not as good savers. As you can remember, when the COVID pandemic had just hit, many of the people who are hand-to-mouth earners, whatever they got on a daily income basis, they would put in their pockets and probably take home. These people actually struggled a lot to live by. They had no savings. Now, they gave excuses like the high bank charges, the high minimum deposits the banks are giving, financial illiteracy. This show will be bringing you the latest first-line information on how you can invest your money so that your investments, your savings, can actually make you more money. And we shall be focusing more on capital markets, on the local scene, on the regional scene, and also on the continental scene, as well as the international, to see that you, our dear viewer, you can access your savings and put them somewhere they can actually generate you more income. Now, we have had a talk about capital markets, and many people can talk about capital markets. But what are capital markets in the first place? Well, as you know, any marketplace where people go to buy and sell goods, a capital market is simply a market where people go to buy and sell shares. Now, a share, what we call a share, is a unit of ownership into a company. You have a company and you think the company is growing and expanding and you want the public to participate in the day-to-day, not day-to-day running, but you want the public to participate in raising capital for the business. You go out there on the Uganda Security Exchange and you actually request the public to come and buy shares. So the public, which are the people who are not running the business, can come and actually buy shares in your company at a given price and rate. So on this show, we'll be bringing you experts in the capital markets, people from the banking sector, people from the Capital Markets Authority, which is the body that regulates the capital markets, to give you insights and first-line information into where to invest your money, how to buy shares, when to buy them, from which company, where to go, and where to start. So don't go anywhere and remain with us for more of this exciting information. Now, capital markets, we have two kinds of people that benefit from the capital markets. We have the investor, who is the shareholder, who comes to buy the stocks, and we also have the issuer of the stocks, or the issuer of shares. Stocks can mean shares, they can mean equities, they're just the same thing, okay? So the issuer is the company that actually wants you to participate in their capital raising, to raise capital so that they can expand, make more profits, and share some of those profits with you. Now, how do you engage? How do you start buying shares and trading shares? And we are going to be bringing you more from the experts. But just to give you an overview of what it takes, first of all, you have to go through a licensed broker. We shall be talking to some of the brokers here. And then that broker will go through the Uganda Securities Exchange to go into the companies that are listed. Listed companies simply mean those companies that have been approved to actually issue shares or bonds, or stocks, okay? So these shares will be traded at the Uganda Securities Exchange through a broker. So you need to access a broker who we shall be bringing here on the show. So you have to keep your eyes on this show. And then through that broker, you can get what they call a security central depository account. Now, the way we have bank accounts for money, we also have the security central depository accounts, or SCD accounts, for your shares. All right? So that account will help you whenever you add shares, whenever you buy more shares, it will be credited. And whenever you sell shares, it will be debited. That's very interesting stuff right there. So whenever you want to invest in a stock, please make sure you have a broker, make sure you have someone guiding you on the Uganda Security Exchange. Okay? Now, how do you earn through buying shares? I mean, yes, you've bought shares and you have a unit of ownership, but how do you earn? This is very interesting. Now, there's something called dividends. When the company, at the end of maybe the quarter or maybe at the end of the year, has made profits, they can decide to give a certain percentage of their profit back to their shareholders, which is you who is going to buy the shares. So whenever you buy a share, and the company, of course, not every company offers this, yeah. So that's why you need to make good research. And one of those ways you can make good research is to stay on this program. You need to know which companies give dividends, okay? And when you have a dividend at the end of the month or at the end of the year, you have a certain percentage of that, okay, as your profit, okay? So you're taking part in the profit making of the business. Number two, you have what we call capital gain. Now, whenever the company feels like maybe there's a need to sell shares, the people who already have shares have the opportunity to sell those shares amongst either themselves as shareholders or to the public. Okay, so that way, when you sell your shares, sometimes at a higher price than you bought them, you're making money, and your savings are actually earning you money without you going out there to do this business, to run all this. Okay, so these are some of the ways you can actually gain from this business. Now, another way is you have voting rights as a shareholder. As a shareholder in a company, you have a right to attend the annual general meeting of that company. And in that way, you can participate in decision making, in voting new leaders for the company, and in making very outstanding decisions for the company. So you have the opportunity, okay? Number three, you have collateral. You can have collateral as shares. So whenever you want to go to the bank, maybe to get a loan or something, you can actually use your shares as collateral. So you have a benefit, okay? Transferability. Shares can be transferred. So you can have shares, maybe your father had shares and perhaps is aging or actually passes on. You can actually transfer those shares through a will or something to another person. That's the beauty of shares. So this is a whole new way of investment. And on this show, we want to bring you all the information you need to know where to buy the shares, when, and from who. A few minutes from now, we are going to be joined by officials from the Uganda Securities Exchange to throw more light on how Ugandans can actually benefit from this process. Now, what are the downsides? Well, I've talked much about the good things of buying shares and all this, but there are some downsides as well. So when you buy shares, there's a risk. And as you know, you cannot carry out any business without risk, right? And the higher the risk, usually the higher the return, but also the higher the losses. So there's a risk, there's a price risk. Probably you've just bought shares and the price goes down, yeah? Meaning if you're going to sell your shares, you're going to sell at a lower price, which is a loss, right? But again, this comes to information. How much information do you have on capital markets before you invest in them? And this show will be bringing you all you need. No dividends. Now, sometimes the companies, like I said in the first place, they may not give dividends. And this means you're actually not going to earn at the end of the year or half the year. And this way you might have to wait for a longer period of time. One thing you realize is that capital markets are long-term investments rather than short-term. So you don't expect to reap very soon. So they require patience and they require you to be a little bit more careful when you're investing so you don't have to rush, okay? Issuers risk. So sometimes if the company goes into liquidation, shareholders are the last paid after all creditors. So let's say the company gets problems and it has to actually sell out a few things and maybe downsize. That way, you, a shareholder, you will get your shares last after they have given their creditors and so on. But despite these, there are lots of good things about investing in capital markets, and I'll be bringing you all the latest. So we are going to have a guest today on the show from the Uganda Securities Exchange to come and throw more light on what I just mentioned, buying shares and trading shares on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Also, he will give us insights into the companies that are listed, the companies that are cross-listed, and what it takes for your company to be cross-listed. My name is Anthony Sebale. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Thank you.